Hello everyone. We begin with the white pieces against Jelly Martinez. We'll try to get a Jobava London on the board, and we do. He stops us from playing pawn to e4, so let's go bishop f4 instead. He now plays c6, not blundering with the knight, so this is good. Let's play e3, closing our pawn chain, opening our bishop. He now brings the bishop out, and we're going to hit him with f3, controlling the center and preparing g4. He closes the pawn chain, signaling us to hit the bishop, which can only go to this diagonal. He retreats. We gain further space, as you've seen in my other speedrun videos. He pushes. We gain maximum space. He goes back. And now this structure is kind of cemented, and we have more space. We can now continue developing towards the center. Challenge his best piece. He trades, and now we develop our queen. We're ready to castle long. We have two minor pieces out. He develops the knight, but not threatening anything in particular. I do want to castle long, but I think I'm going to start with the knight. In my experience, getting your knights out always adds an extra layer of protection to whatever else you're doing. So, bishop e7, developing move, but nothing too crazy. Let's get castled, and we could push our pawns now, maybe break somewhere. So he moves his bishop for a second time. He's not going to mess up my structure though by doing this, so not sure what that is. King b1 is always a good move in positions like this. However, e4. I'm going to start with e4. He's still not castled. Kind of, his development's mediocre, so he takes. But this allows me to move the knight that's under attack, potentially. Well, first, let me just see what happens. If I take with the pawn, and he captures this, he's threatening a fork, but aside from that, like let's say, I don't know, queen here, threatening the pawn behind it. Then he could double the knights maybe. And that might be just a little fancy. So let's just take with the knight so I don't feel like calculating more. If this was like a 45-minute game, I would look at that, but I'm already down like 2 minutes, so let's not do that. So he moves the knight to the center. Attackable by a pawn in the future though. For the time being, it hits my bishop, which I can easily move. There's also this check, which either forces his king to move, or the bishop has to trade, and I get to put my bishop here for one turn anyway. I mean, that's a move I want to include anyway. So let's go with the most forcing option. He has to take, we take. Now he's going to move his knight and hit my bishop. However, we did get the dark square bishop off the board, which is really good for us because we have this big diagonal here. And now he can't contest it. Long term, that's going to be good for us. There is this diagonal, but I feel like I don't want to use that one just yet. Which square makes more sense? I mean, this diagonal prevents castling, but I don't like it. Let's go to the other diagonal. Do you want to plant it just here? Something simple like this. After castling, I have to move it again. Let's just go. I can't tell if I like G3 or H2, but I'll put it on G3. Oh, he moves the knight, goes for this. He's going to keep trying to move him forward, but eventually I'm going to kick them with pawns. He is hitting this pawn though, so let's put our queen on one of these. The dark square has the diagonal, the light square has the pawn behind it, but let's go here to stop the queen from developing right now, which would be annoying. And then we have the option of kicking the knight with any pawn. This supports our center. Kind of solid. Throw this in. He has no light square bishop to take advantage of this diagonal. So he moves the knight back. Huh. Now it's looking at this square, I suppose. But I kind of want to kick it again. I know that seems crazy, but I'm going to do it. And if he goes back here, I can kick it with a different pawn, forcing him to go back here, which I think I'm going to do. And now that his knight is off sides, there is this pawn. It does open up an avenue to my king. He can't put the rook here because of the knight, so that's immediately not a thing. A queen trade, I'm out material, as well as this pawn is hanging. So is there a real downside to taking this pawn? What's his best move? His best move is castle, let's say. Giving me another pawn. But then his rooks still aren't connected, which is his problem. He also can't put a rook here, which is his problem. Normally I would never take a pawn like this and give, a foul to the rook, stuff like that, but because of where his position is, I'm not seeing it for him. And now that I take the c pawn, I'll be able to advance d5 even easier. And because his queen's not developed, he can't, connect the rooks and try to bully my queen. So all these things combined lead me to take 2 pawns. So now I have my win condition. So queen trade is like an instant win. So that's what I'm thinking. That's where my head's at. Knight here seems logical. So he moves the knight to a more reasonable square. The problem is sniper bishop, it's hanging, right? So take with the queen, because if you take with the bishop, you're asking for trouble, and we're looking for the queen trade anyway, so we want to bully his queen. You always want to bully your opponent on the chessboard. You don't want to let him, play moves they want. And then when they're like, oh, I can't even, it feels like it's forced, they have to play moves. You're just dictating the whole game. They just resign, you see? It's an interesting graph. Oh, you can't see. I should probably fix the layout so you can see it at some point. We have 13 center pawn loss with 95 accuracy, so our game must have made sense. So let's go through it. Development and center. Development and center. Center and development. Center, and this is going to be space gaining. So this is about the center and about gaining space. Space gain for free. Improving move for free because h5 is a serious threat. Space gain for free. And now, because that was all for free, normally I would never do that if it wasn't for free. Like if you have to play f3, he develops a minor piece. And then you play g4, they develop a minor piece. And then you play h4, they develop a minor piece. You know what I mean? I would never do that, but because g4, he has to move the bishop. h4, he has to move the pawn. h5, he has to move the bishop. Like, he's not developing new pieces, so that's the only reason I'm doing something like this, because space gaining isn't, worth it otherwise. But because it's free, I might as well gain the space. And now that all the free stuff is over, I'm back to developing in center. Force move. Development and center. King safety, development and center. And it's an even game. They want him to start his attack. I'm curious. We just pop open the center here, or do we? King B1. What happens if we pop open? He hits the knight. You go to the side. Queen A5, B3. Oh, he does get in C5, I guess. But that's not a big deal. I mean, you move the king over. And if you don't pop open the center, okay, king B1, but let's say he goes this. Now we pop open the center. So king B1 is just so useful in all of the lines that you never want anything to open up before that. Interesting. Okay, so we castle long, and he just makes the most natural developing move, although he did move the same piece twice, so and it doesn't even ruin our structure if he takes, so that's why it makes no sense. And now it wants us to pop open the center, which we do. Center and development, because his king's in the center. Okay, so the best move is to take with the pawn. I had a feeling. And when he takes this, we do the move I was looking at, queen g3. I was looking at different ways to support the knight, because if he moves it, it's obviously not a good position for him. So I figured, how is he going to support it? I guess if you put the knight here, which I mentioned, you can just kick that knight, so that's not a thing. So he kind of has to go here, support the knight. And you try to blast through. That's cool. But I didn't want to deal with this, and this is why. What did I do? Oh yeah. I took with the knight, also playable and with no complications, right? Super easy to play. He goes here, which is not a bad move, but we do a forcing move, improve for free. Claim the bishop, and now we're the only ones with the bishop. Force move, because the bishop was hanging. And I don't really like his move, his one move threat. I think it improves our queen. And now it says white's plus 2.5, so positionally winning already, even though some of you might be scared. You might think black has the attack or is better. White's the one who's completely solid. There's no real attack. And we have this space on the queen side. We're safe. I mean, on the king side, we're safe on the queen side. And we have a better center. So we just improved the position for free. Improved the position for free. I'm curious if that was the best move. Okay, so it was. But last move, was it? Yeah, kick the knight with either pawn. So you see, even though it looks weird to go c3, knight goes back, and then c4, it still is the best sequence of moves. So just because something looks weird, at some point when you get higher rated, you start following your gut, just based on experience, having analyzed previous games. So he goes here, which just looks super kickable, so it makes no sense. We improve for free. Take free stuff, plus 3.4. Take free stuff, and now his knight is really bad. We're up 2 pawns. Our king is safe. And then he hangs the knight because he didn't see any other place to move it. But that's just a blunder. The engine wants him to sacrifice the knight because at the very least, I mean, I'm going to go king b1, but then if you go king b1, he probably brings the queen in. He has this pawn, and at least, even though you sack the knight, you have to deal with this, right? It's definitely holdable, but you have to figure it out, and nobody wants to do that over the board. So let's click the button. It says you don't even care. Wow. What's so special about this square? Oh, it covers b3, so there's no b3 in this line probably. Whereas if you just, let's say, go here, 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 oh, b3 you still win because you can hide. Okay, so it's some random AI sequence. You see, and that's why they want you to sack your knight, because you have those possibilities, you know? It's kind of, you have to figure it out from the other side and calculate. It's annoying. But anyway, um, he didn't do any of this. Hopefully this helps you in your chess. Play the Jobava London. Good luck in your chess. I'll see you in the next video.